think it's time to blow this scene. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
So here's one of the things I love about being a podcaster.
Yeah.
To get little unexpected moments.
Yeah.
Like we record 2 of these at a given time.
So we lied last time.
And you only get that joke if you listen to the tail end of the last episode. Anyway, as soon as we cut and we're like, all right, let's do next episode, the final episode of Cowboy Bebop, The Real Folk Blues Part 2.
Yep, we're doing it. Here we are.
And then because we're aging old dudes.
We're so old.
We watched each other do calisthenics. We watched each other do stretches just to make it through the fucking day.
Yeah.
Because fucking life is a ceaseless cavalcade of chaos.
Sitting through hours of podcasting in this chair, I kind of sometimes want my star to burn out, Abe.
Yeah, sometimes. Fuck it. But you're in the right place, and the right place is the final episode of our masterpiece podcast, You Space Podboys, that covers chronologically Cowboy Bebop and the 26 sessions therein. If you're here and you haven't heard anything else of us talking about Cowboy Bebop, you are in the wrong place.
Yeah, you should go back
and start with Asteroid Blues, huh?
Yeah, you should.
But now we end this thing.
Yep.
On our terms.
Bringing the swordfish home.
On Spike Spiegel's terms.
Did you cry?
We're going to die at the end of this episode.
I know. Did you cry watching it?
No.
I do every time.
I didn't.
That's interesting.
What does that say?
Nothing. Just
maybe nothing.
How often do you get emotional watching media?
A lot.
So just not this one, huh?
I think it's because so much a part of me is that if it's the music, that will really get me going and put me in the state of cry.
I understand that.
And I listen to this music all the time.
Yeah, so
it's top
immune.
tier. So it's like I'm a little bit of there's a little bit of a natural kind of immunity to it.
Yeah, I understand.
But I did feel it much in the way, like I got the feeling of the first time I watched it when I was like 17. I was like, wow, what a finish. Wow, what a beautiful moment. That's such a great frame. Like just admiring everything that is Bebop.
I had a hard time accepting the ending when I first watched it. Which I think,
bit of that.
Well, and I think the filmmakers know that, which is why it takes about 2 minutes to end the show, in one continuous shot. But I'm way ahead. We have at least 21 more minutes of summary to do. So how about I start with what planet is this? Here we are. Spike and Julia in the rain, in a graveyard. Color is slowly bleeding out of this story, and she has a gun trained on him. And we learn from her, it's just like that time 3 years ago, where, we were supposed to meet. And I didn't, because instead of doing that, I loved you. And I chose to be hunted. And then she sort of pockets the gun and says, let's run away and be together. And we cut to a close-up of Spike's face, and it's pretty clear he knows that's not going to happen right from the jump. We cut back to the Syndicate headquarters where Vicious, looking
Deep
already
in grief over his dead bird.
Looking for all the world like a demon, asks, did you kill the targets, right? And Shin's basically like, nah, I didn't kill anybody. I failed it all murder.
Yeah, Spike, Julia,
nobody's dead at all. And Vicious just sort of says, like, I hated your brother. Don't be like him. Be better than your brother. Remember him?
He killed people.
Yeah. His name was Lynn. Yours is Shin. Why are you so bad at being a brother? Anyway. And that's kind of all there is to that scene, right?
Well, he's taken control.
Right. Yes, he's now in control, still wielding the sword. Everybody sort of bows to him now. It's all Vicious Syndicate. Spike and Julia, starting their Bonnie and Clyde journey, stop by Annie's for supplies, where they discover Annie's been gut shot. Annie, you might remember, from the episode of Ballad of Fallen Angels, which is the 5th episode of the series.
Dude, I felt this stray more than
yeah.
I liked
Annie. She was cool and very sentimental, and I liked her.
Didn't deserve any of it. Was trying to get out.
Yeah,
God, that sucks. That one burns.
She's been shot. She tells them, hey, Vicious has taken over. The elders have been assassinated. You guys are now going to be hunted. That's what this is going to be. Julia enters a little later than Spike, so she realizes, oh, you guys are together. That's good. And Spike is like, time to get a gun. You know what I mean? Like, time to get a shotgun.
You killed Annie, so you're going to die. Everyone's going to die now.
And yeah, so, Spike gets prepped for a fight, and Julia promises, I'm going to stay with you, right? So then, back on the Bebop, we get kind of the last Jet and Faye aren't really friends conversation, where Faye is sort of guilting Jet into, hey, man, Spike was a pain in the ass, but why don't you go look for him? And, in this very roundabout way, Jet's sort of like, yeah, he was a pain in the ass, and I'm wounded, and there's nothing I can do for him. And you kind of wonder whether or not Faye and Jet could ever stay together as partners after this. Because, man, they don't get along, right?
Yeah.
They can't even agree on this part. Yeah, so then Jet asks sort of a more intriguing question, which is, what is Julia like? And Faye describes her as the kind of dangerous ordinary that you can't leave alone.
Oh.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that description at the end, because that's not how she looks to me, or seems to me, but I'm curious if she does to you, if that's what we're supposed to take away from her. Okay, so cut back to the firefight in Annie's shop. Spike and Julia escape. They kill some dudes along the way. They get to an abandoned rooftop. More killing ensues. Everybody's good at shooting.
Except Julia. Julia takes 3 shots to hit with somebody. I think just to mark.
Maybe nervous.
She's not Syndicate, maybe.
That's interesting. Oh, yeah. Okay, I could see that. She does sort of take a tumble and gets up and looks kind of concussed. Right? She's sort of a little woozy. Spike turns around. There's a guy who's gunning for her, and Spike aims and shoots, but not before the man lands a killing shot on Julia.
Yeah.
Julia dies in slow motion as John Woo takes over the production of Cowboy Bebop, and doves are everywhere, and it's very slow motion. And
I want to point out about this man. It is great. I think it's also a reference to A Better Tomorrow too, which is where he did that first, but and came out before this. But the the man who shoots Julia, by the way, has a horrible mouth.
Yeah, I noticed it too. It really bothered me. His mouth? It's like, that guy, cool. Let's kill him. Could we?
Yeah. I'm the worst.
Yeah. Kind of like, we didn't talk at all about him, but the doctor who was pulling the bullet out of Jet.
Oh, yeah, Dr. Wiley.
Yeah. He's from a totally different show. What's going on with him? Anyway, so
he's
Julia...
a Spider-Man villain is what he is.
He looks like it. Julia, very clearly dies, takes a huge slap, like a face plant, and this way it's like, oh. And Spike runs over, turns her over, and she utters inaudible last words, very briefly, and then passes. And it's pretty terrible,
the shit that she says is Harambe did 9/11. It's like, what are you saying, Julia?
You are capturing the essence of this show, and I love it.
I'm so sorry.
No, I don't apologize, because I'm thrilled.
She utters, and it's ineffable. It's not meant for us. It's meant for Spike.
Spike, it fortunately is in covered in rain, probably covering his own tears, but clearly this is his fate has been changed because of this, right? Speaking of which, Jet, finally bothered enough by Faye, goes and seeks out the shaman from the first episode, who we've seen maybe twice in this show, whose name it turns out is Laughing Bull. And he asks him sort of, where is Spike? And Laughing Bull essentially tells him everybody has a guardian star. And, even there's a person who lives on Earth right now or whatever, who this star that we orbit, it's their guardian star. Your friend's guardian star is burning out. And Jet is like, this is bullshit. I can't accept this. And interestingly, he calls him, I want to say Rolling Rock or Rough Rock. Did you notice that name?
Running Rock.
Running Rock. Just mark that. Let's come back to it at the end and see if we can get anything out of that.
Out of Jet, the Running Rock.
Yeah, so then he tells Jet there's a few parables in these last 2 episodes, and this is a very sort of more like a soliloquy almost, where if you fear death, death will spring up at you, but if you don't show fear, death comes softly and gently guides you into infinity.
Like it's like a kitty cat.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep.
Exactly. And that's kind of an interesting image as we roll into the eye catch. Okay, so we come back from the eye catch. Vicious examines Annie's coat, does your very basic taste the blood test and goes like, he will come.
Yes.
And we're like, great. So, that
My
showed
bird would have loved this.
I named him Spike.
He's my Spike.
My Spike bird. Anyway. And then we have a great scene where Jet, still distraught, is woken up by Spike on the Bebop. And Spike's like, I'm really hungry. And for a very brief moment, it's like old times. They're eating together. They're laughing. And Spike tells a story about how there was a tiger-striped cat who lived 1 million lives and died and was owned by various people. He didn't care for those people. Then one day met a female cat and they got free. But then the female cat died and the tiger-striped cat died again. And this time he didn't come back. And Jet goes, that's a good story. And Spike's like, no, it isn't. That's a fucking horrible story because I always hated cats. And they both laugh for a pretty long time.
They both and laugh at the cat.
Yeah,
joke.
They both love it.
But also, Spike is really bad at telling the story. That's a terrible story.
You don't like anybody's stories in this one.
No, just these two fuckers can't tell stories.
They're bad at it. That's why they kill people for a living.
Yeah.
Then Jet kind of looks at him and, this is where we sort of cut the shit, right? And Jet's like, is it for the woman? Is that why you're going to go back? And he tells Jet she's dead and there's nothing more I can do for her, and then walks on.
And this is where Jet should be. Then what the?
Yeah.
Like, that was your answer last time, but now you're going.
I think Jet understands the duty thing a bit more, but you're right. That is also worth discussing. So earmark that because it's a great question. Then Spike is confronted by Faye, and Faye is mad that he's leaving. She's really mad in this way that's like, I don't have a home and this has been home and you're leaving. And why would you do that? Why would you throw your life away? And Spike deals more honestly with her than he's been probably with anybody in the series, where he gets his face right up to hers and says, look at my eyes. And we realize a thing that's been in the show, but you don't really see it until he points it out.
They don't do it all the time.
They do it. Yeah, that's right. They're selective. But his eyes aren't exactly the same color, because one of them is a fake eye, and that eye is a cybernetic eye from an accident that happened because of him having to run and not to take off with Julia. And so he claims this eye has made him stuck in the past. He's been looking at the past and looking at the present and has to finally resolve that tension. And that's what this is really about.
Yeah, he's literally copying to, I've been myopic my whole life.
Yeah, which, okay. And Faye, in response, is a little more vulnerable about what's been happening with her, which is, I thought I had a home. I thought I'd found my people, but it wasn't anything. Yeah,
I guess this was nothing then?
Yeah.
She has a great response, too. I feel it in my bones. You never tell me about yourself.
Yeah, don't start now. Right.
Because I know what that means for you.
And Spike leaves anyway. And she shoots a gun in the air.
She does a Point Break.
Yeah, which I loved. Point Break. And then the music hits, right, when Swordfish takes off. And we know we're in the final stretch. we hear a more instrumental version of Real Folk Blues, which has been the credits music for the whole show, as he kills his way up an entire building to face off with Vicious. And in the middle of it, Shin gets killed. You were like, oh yeah, that's right. As is his job.
Kill my brother. I'm also dead.
The only thing we learned from him is that essentially the Syndicate was waiting for Spike to come back and take over. Which matters a little bit for what the outcome here is.
There was like there was a alignment of people who were like, Spike is the real child.
The good crime people were like, let's be Team Spike.
The good murderers.
The good crimers. Anyway, so Spike, through a series of grenade drops, he takes quite a few blows, by the way. He's like been shot in the arm. He's bleeding out of his eye. He's not doing well. But he finally faces off with Vicious at the wrecked penthouse of this building. Very reminiscent of the end of the actual Cowboy episode where they fight on top of a blown up roof. And Vicious and Spike exchange more of your sort of action cliches, right? I told you I'm the only one that could kill you, right?
Yeah.
And I'm the only one that could set you free. The same words.
I'm gonna taste your blood.
Right? But Spike has this line that's awful. It's like, the same holds true for you as well, Vicious. You know, like,
I will be the secret boy who takes you on. Oh God.
it's very silly. Yeah, so I'm trying to remember where this all happens, but briefly, on the way there, we actually get a couple flashbacks of Spike remembering his life with Julia as he's doing all this killing. And the flashbacks have changed. They were in this sort of grayish tone, and now they're in this golden light, which I want to talk about. Anyway, Spike and Vicious, they're slashing each other, they're shooting each other, they're sprinting at each other, they lose each other's weapons, then huck them back at the other and do one last blow, and Vicious falls dead. Spike walks down the stairs, bathed in heavenly light. He remembers Julia and her final words, which we finally hear for the first time. And the words are, "It's all a dream." And Spike responds by saying, "Yep, just a dream." And then he falls flat on his face, and the scene...
On his back.
No, he's face down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you were saying the last shot.
And... the Syndicate members who are still alive clearly were about ready to bow down to this guy, but he sort of falls, says, bang with his finger, like he's doing finger guns at him, and dies.
Bang.
And the camera pans up as doves fly off, telling us his soul is left. And we do a full 2-minute credits sequence as we pan up and up and up and up and up from the city,
through the atmosphere, into space,
into his star, which supernovas and then fades out, and we fade with the words, "You're gonna carry that weight."
You're gonna carry that weight.
Yep. And that's how the show ends.
Take a bow, Watanabe and Company.
It's beautiful.
For you have done a masterpiece.
Yeah,
and
I think it's time for us to push the sky, don't you, Abe?
I think you're right. Okay, this is where we talk about execution, and I mentioned last episode, and I'll mention it now. Repetition.
Yep.
Repetition. It ain't broke, don't fix it. Also, this one has a point thematically. I don't know if you noticed, you kind of hinted at it, and I think you'll find this a little bit revelatory. The climactic gunfight at the end.
Yep.
Mirrors the church shootout from Ballad of Fallen Angels in the following ways. Spike has hand grenades. He throws around a corner. He pulls a pin with his teeth, both in these cases. Briefly using guns akimbo, dual guns, before getting shot and losing use of one arm, and then he drops the other gun. He gets cut on the left cheek. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, so does Vicious, by the way.
Yeah.
Yep.
A little parallel, and we get that brief standoff between Spike and Vicious before they kill each other in that pose. So there's a little bit of sign here. I feel like Cowboy Bebop's telling us there's some cyclic shit or like what's
there's
going
a
on.
seasonal aspect to it or something.
And this is just something I haven't heard talked a lot about in terms of like the Bebop execution mythos or whatever, like people doing critical reads of this thing. The whole thing is telling us this, and I have been doing it throughout this podcast. I want us to notice that also. If you remember the first episode, Asteroid Blues, we follow drug runners, including Katarina and Asimov.
Yeah, they were great
who are in
beginning.
a very similar circumstance.
Yep.
They're running from the syndicate. That's a little rondo for you, so it kind of starts as it ends, which is one of the we'll talk later of one of the reasons I think there's a defeatist view of fate in this. But importantly, and maybe most importantly throughout the series, is we've had focuses on timepieces and this kind of concept of the day by day, the repetition, so much attention to music boxes, Waterbird toys, pinwheels, and there's a lot of music box music in this. That's how that's the Julia's theme kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So repetition and the steady flow of time, the fiction is kind of the second hand. It's the perspective we build to order the past and present so we can comprehend it, like Spike is doing. Because otherwise it just feels like a dream. It has no time. It has no relevance. It doesn't feel like it matters. So what is repetition, and why do we have these cyclic kind of fate qualities? I think it's because that is how we choose to order our lives. And I think that one of the coolest things that the execution of this particular episode does with repetition is to show Spike almost as a figure who's on rails.
Yep,
he is a
absolutely.
train leaving a station. And I thought that was pretty cool.
Dan Harmon has a construct of how stories work called the story circle, which absolutely reinforces everything that you said. You know, and I think is an eloquent structural way to think about how this happens in many stories, but especially Cowboy Bebop. So I love that. Thank you for sharing. Just very simple. Continuing some of the observations I made in the first episode of this finale, this episode we are moving to desaturation. When we get saturation points, it's only to set up the fact that we are rushing toward a blinding whiteout.
Right.
Briefly, there is some saturation that returns when Spike is back on the Bebop. Like that it is like sort of an allusion to home. There's a little bit of a home there that he's leaving behind. And also when he begins the journey of murdering everyone in a 20-story building, the saturation is pretty back to normal, but not for the final battle with Vicious, where it's back to this kind of gray, desaturated rendering. So I think that's obviously forecasting his death. The other thing that I just think it's really artfully done, and you wouldn't even notice it because you don't think about things like this, but this episode introduces a new concept of the way death looks. And that concept is a star exploding as death approaches. And we see it several times in this episode. One time is Vicious actually walks out of this like sort of blinding light when he reappears in the episode for the first time. A second time that it happens is when we revisit the memory of Julia dying. Like obviously the sky kind of lights up in a magical way when she dies, and it's terrible and beautiful. And then when we revisit the memory of the words we didn't hear, it's totally bathed in sunlight or starlight. You know, like she's almost like a ghost. And obviously Spike's last walk down the stairs is extraordinarily overlit, as though there's a star overhead blowing up. And
yeah, he's always on stairs. He's always
going up and down.
Because it's not just the two syndicate battles, Battle to Fallen Angels in this one, but also like earlier in like when he's running away with Julia and like he's going up stairwells.
Yeah.
It's almost like there's a stairway to heaven or some shit. I don't know.
Almost. I mean, that wouldn't be that weird for them to quote that as a concept because they love American rock music.
Well, yeah.
I mean, the last line is a Beatles song, but I think they've repurposed it pretty well. Specifically,
a Beatles song that was meant as an ode to the audience of the Beatles that were breaking up as a band.
Right. That's right. When Spike remembers Julia after she's died, the transformation of the color of her memory from this gray sort of tragic thing to a golden starlit memory of who she was and them being together is sort of telling about what it means for your star to explode, and also that his star is in the process of exploding, if that helps. And the last drawing we get of Spike is kind of this marriage of that concept, this star overblown thing, and the way that the end credits looked, where they're sort of sketched out almost, not quite fully rendered as animation, implying that now his state is static. It's starlit and static. He's no longer in motion. And this is how we'll always remember him.
It's that blast radius of the pillow shot that Watanabe's so good at.
Yeah.
Taken directly from Ozu, but yeah.
But still great.
Still great. Meditative. Beautiful.
Yeah. And that's how we choose to end the show, which means it's time for us to do exactly as the show has instructed and carry that weight.
It's like we planned it.
I can't wait for anybody who didn't get to watch the show, who watched it for the first time with us.
If there's any of you out there, tell us how that experience was.
I would love to hear that. Because I think the end of this is gut wrenching. I both times I watched it for this, I was like, my poor wife had to, comfort me. She was like, not really. But
it's a beautiful tale. I'm surprised I didn't cry because I definitely have cried in the past.
She'd never seen it, and a thing that made me happy about that is she really enjoyed it. It was very moving for her, and I was like, oh, good. So it does still resonate. It's not just because I'm
fucking
a child.
Got hands, dude. It's got hands.
Well, when she finished watching it, what she said is, "I can see how important this has been for you."
Aw.
You know what I mean? Like I can see how this thing shaped you.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, it's true. I love Cowboy Bebop. It'll always be up the S tier for me.
Yeah. And you're now just a jazz guy who only talks about jazz most of the time.
I do love talking about jazz. That's not even really a bit. And I do love jazz. I do.
The jazz man, Gans.
I've told you about the jazz instructor I had in college.
No.
Dude, this is worth the tangent. Are you ready?
Okay.
So we had to take, I went to a community college. You may not know this, but the first 2 years of college, I went to like a community college because I had no idea what I was doing with my life. And I had to take an elective in my first semester, and everybody normally at this school took history of rock and music. And I was like, that sounds good, but it was booked up. So my counselor was like, well, there's another music class if you want to take that. And I was like, what is it? History of jazz. And I was like, okay, sure. So the class was a history of jazz as advertised, but what was amazing about it was they didn't really have that many records or CDs to play, so the instructor would hum the songs for us so we could learn them. And he would like scat. He'd be like, you know how Bird Parker was. That is how I learned jazz, Abe.
That is so good because it's basically like you had to be theirs.
Oh yeah.
He's basically just doing like, and then imagine like a cornet comes in and it's like,
that's what he would do.
And you're like, yeah, it's so awesome, bro.
And he would
and you're like, for real.
into it. He was just like he was like, but that, and he would like close his eyes and like he's hearing it, man. He's beautiful minding this shit. And I'm like, we're not.
We should all be like the jazz man of your past because that guy is working with insane lack of resources and still just bringing his A-game.
Love of jazz is a supernova in my life. Like it is
what a beautiful
insurmountable.
story.
It's great. I really like that guy. Anyway.
Well, you used the word supernova,
I did.
which is pretty rough because in this episode, stars birth stars, but the guardian stars go out when you die. So hopefully, Jazzman, you're alive and with us.
It's very unlikely, given how old he was, but I hope so. I liked him.
Jazzman, I hope you're peacefully jazzing in the grave.
Yeah,
but okay.
This show is, for me, before we get into all the nitty gritty,
Mhm.
I think like a fundamental building block of what I think of as stylish and the elements, like what it means to do a piece that crosses a bunch of genres and makes them all better. There's not that many pieces of art that do it, and this one is so successful at that.
The editing, the color, the minimalism, the retrofuturism, the Z-Rust, like all of the combinations of stuff that's going on, both graphically and in terms of in-world, are so stylistically effortless and
holistic.
seem like
they work together.
They work together and they feel like no one's ever done it before, even though there are very, very real references. But it's the kind of thing that when you watch it, you don't feel like it's being built out of references. In fact, what you feel more is in the future and later in life, how everyone was influenced by this.
Absolutely.
How they saw Cowboy Bebop and said, that's a new genre. That's literally in the opening credits.
Yeah. It's amazing.
It had Bebop. The concept of bebop is it's a new genre. It's a synthesis of things.
As my old jazz professor would say, Charlie Bird Parker pulled that one out one day, followed by 20 minutes of bip and bip. Anyway.
So good.
Yeah, it was really good. What stuff from the episode do you want to bring for us to?
Well, I want to say my piece on something, but I do think it folds nicely into the conversation that we had last episode that we put a pin in, which is that Cowboy Bebop, is it Assurance of Fate?
Yeah, is this about fate or not? Yeah.
Or is it not?
Yeah, tell me.
And I want to bring up something that I brought up. I brought up on Wild Horses episode. That's Andy the Cowboy episode. And I mentioned a little bit, I think, in the last few episodes, is this concept of the cowboy myth and what Spike is. What is Spike? Cowboy Bebop, I think, presents the cowboy myth itself best in this episode with the eye speech. His eyes reflect his personal journey, as he says, but they also signify his way of being, which is modeled after classic cowboys, as we have discussed.
Especially ones that are stuck in the past, right?
Yeah, especially ones that are stuck in the past. In fact, the parts that he hates about himself is his inability to alter or change based on that, the kind of rules and guidelines of that mythos. So the cowboy symbol itself is this kind of undoing. And he mentions it as kind of two sides of one coin. And I think that's interesting because when you think about what the cowboy myth is, especially from the perspective of someone who wasn't an American getting American propaganda of what the Western was, I think the world, and I think more after neo-Westerns, have kind of come to the realization of how fucking dumb, not Westerns, but how dumb the cowboy concept, it's a lie. Yeah. So on one hand, on one side of the coin, you have this fatalistic but very real presentation of cowboys that is brutal and kind of not necessarily honorable. And the other side of the coin is this hopeful or even romantic presentation, but highly unreal. So in other words, the Old West was a myth, and Spike carries the cowboy spirit. So
that's interesting.
Yeah. Well, we can't grieve Spike. You do what you want, but I mean, he's a dying, selfish brand, as we've talked about.
That's interesting.
He's like an antiquated hero, right? And he doesn't. As he says himself, he's been myopic. He's the past in one eye, the present in the other. He wasn't seeing reality clearly. And that's just true of cowboys, I think. So I think that's why I wanted to bring that up, is because when we're talking about the fatalistic or the, is this thing on rails? What does Bebop believe about people? Because there is a cyclic nature, as we mentioned in this episode, about how things return to form. There are archetypes. We see it with Katarina. We see it with Spike.
Do you think
see it with Faye.
that cowboys in general represent a fate construct?
I think that's the romanticized version. Is that the
You
white
can't
hat comes in and solves all the problems?
I think of that as being much more of a man makes his own destiny. No destiny is forced upon him.
But he's a larger than life hero.
Yeah. He supersedes human experience. You know, he's a mini messiah, if you will.
Yeah.
You know, as all movie protagonists are. But so are you arguing that this death of the cowboy is also a death of that sort of I can achieve my own aims?
That's what I think
Okay.
Bebop is arguing, is that while the world presents itself as being built by archetypes and by these repetitions and these forms, you can always choose to build your own story. You are not bonded to fate. And Spike dies because he believed he was.
So his death is a punishment, not a
cautionary
or a failure.
tale.
Oh, it is. Okay. I don't
It's
know.
not a punishment. I mean, maybe his own punishment,
I
but
feel
it's not like someone up on high said Spike must poetically get this justice.
I'm not saying that his death is good. But his death feels very like fitting. Like this is a fit end to his story.
Death wish.
Yeah. And romantic. Like his death is beautiful in a way.
That he's living the cowboy spirit.
Yeah, okay. So this is sort of
okay, Corral, he shot, bang.
Whereas
bang.
If he'd been a little wiser, a little less committed to his sort of self-involved narrative, he would have lived a better life, you think?
He could have not died.
That's fair. He could have not died.
That's as far as I need for the fate conversation.
That's interesting. Oh, okay. Because it's true that at the end of this whole episode, he has the thing that cowboys always have. That's like, well, I have a duty now. I have this duty to see this through, right? Like now that Vicious has done this shit, I have to do something about it. You know, and my death is meaningful because I stood up to him and took this great evil out of the world, is how I read it the first time. So, but I see, okay, so this is like one of those, what you might call a Derrida point, where it's sort of both things.
Could
right?
be. I just think it's so telling that, like, look to the, not beef and broccoli, but the food scene where they laugh about the fucking terrible story about the cat, right?
Right. Yeah.
So that's Spike. As we talked about last episode, we were in a beautiful moment. How is he going to deal with Julia's death? Well, it turns out that the way he deals with Julia's death is that he was going to burn it all down until he saw Julia, and then they killed Annie. Now he's going to burn it all down again. And then they killed Julia, and now he's really going to burn it down. There's nothing here that's tethering him to the Earth or to Mars. What that means is that now he can, in that moment with Jet, laugh. The only time we really see him laugh in the show. Why? Because he knows he's dead. He knows he's walking into...
Yeah,
and it was always that. It's almost like I read Spike now, in my age now, is like a fool. He is a fool because he believes that he believes so wholeheartedly in this cowboy mythos of himself, and this he is this guy.
Like there's a narcissism to it.
That he can't, like, he was always looking for an excuse to kill a bunch of syndicate members. I kind of believe now. Maybe he wouldn't do it unprompted, but, you know.
So there's no heroism in what he did.
He'd set a fire.
So like, have we gone full cracked here where it's like, actually, the bad guy is the good guy? And
No.
Like,
I think that's reductive. I think it's more.
Well, that's what I'm asking you.
Well, it's straight up like he's the cautionary tale. If you do this, remember, you will be lost in some ways because you're being led by your past. You know, you're steering. from behind the ship.
I don't think the show thinks of this ending as cautionary. Maybe it does. I'm not offended by that idea.
Yeah,
I
you're
think they
probably
think
right.
of it as romantic, and it's tragic, but romantic in the sense that the man faced what he had to face.
Mhm.
Like, he was running from it, and he faced it. And it is very cowboyish in that sense. I totally agree with you. And I think it sort of comes down to, is this death a waste? Did he die for something that meant anything or not? Does killing Vicious matter? I don't have the answer to that. I think the show seems to think that it is.
Well, that's where I think it is gray. And I think you were great. It's a great point to bring up that specific aspect, because maybe cautionary tale is the wrong word, because I don't mean to say that, in my belief, that Watanabe and company mean to say with it, look at this Spike, even though I
You've
just said
wasted
that
your
like 2
life.
minutes.
Yeah.
Don't be this guy.
Right.
He's just presenting, and here's a guy, and here's another guy,
Well, that's the thing I like about stories, that I think we're struggling with it now culturally. Like, a story is a richer way to explore a truth that sometimes has in it truths we don't like, that are sort of Trojan horsed by virtue of the fact that people aren't just avatars for one thing.
Yeah, you're
They
not
bring their-
monolithic.
They bring their complexity to it, and you have to sort of evaluate it in its complexity.
But I do think it's a flaw. Doesn't take that away.
Yeah,
but
I
I
agree
guess
with
I
you.
just mean to say it's not supposed to be. There's not necessarily supposed to be a revelation that I think Watanabe is trying to give to the audience. It's not.
Okay.
Maybe it is if you firmly believe what Spike believes, but I don't think he's trying to stuff it down our throats. But
I think of the ending as being a pretty religious experience, or like pretty close to it. Like, we have a choir, we have a symbol of a spirit, we have ascending to the heavens, we have, and then we have a rock song about freedom. Like,
that's true. It does go to space.
How free could I be? By the way, there's another detail of this long pan that really stood out to me this time, which is the atmosphere is blue when he dies. There's no rust red from Mars anymore. It's gone.
Yeah, they terraformed it though, didn't they?
Well, when we see the atmosphere represented,
There's still red dust.
there's always red dust in it, except for this time. So yeah, they did terraform it. Maybe they're a little selective about it, but Mars is usually pretty grim and gray. Maybe not exclusively. Somebody's probably going to be like, nope, in this episode when they're on Mars. But I thought the blue sky was kind of interesting, particularly because in the last episode, when they were dogfighting, there was clearly a red horizon everywhere. And maybe that's just for poetic effect.
Yeah, it could be poetic license. The title of the song is also blue.
Yes.
But I don't know if that's... Yeah, I just believe that I think they're presenting... him as a broken man, obviously, emotionally.
Yeah, I think that's right.
His emotional intelligence is not so good, and it's not necessarily because of his fault. He's a battered stray cat, which is that just makes me think of Pierre LeFou and like all that stuff. But
I think I love that, because you could go back and see Spike in almost every one of these characters that that end up being bounties or somebody they have to overcome. Some aspect of him is being telegraphed by those antagonists, like Guy on the Run in the first one, that kid who's sort of frozen in time, can't age, can't see his past, like similar with the Brain Scratch episode, Pierre LeFou, like you just said. You can go through them all and see that Spike, who he is and what he has to overcome, we've been looking at that through a prism in every one of these antagonists, which is why he's always got such an affinity for him at the end. Like every one of these guys who's the bounty head, almost without fault, it's like he has a kind of compassion for them, actually.
Right. Which I think,
him.
In the end, when you watch Bebop, I hope that it's not the, deconstructivist moral messaging that I probably took away, and I think you probably
okay.
took away based off what the first time we watched it, it was more about Spike. He's the protagonist. We're used to seeing the hero go through something to succeed, so it throws you for a little bit of a loop. But I truly think that the more adult viewing, from my experience of Cowboy Bebop, is the pure beauty and poetic kind of temperament that this 26 episode story does about saying there are no small stories. Every story is important, and they're all, empathy is the only way to see. And we've talked about how it's perfect that bounty hunters, well, yeah, if there's an empathy arc, let's give it to fucking bounty hunters. That's one of the best things you could do with your show. But just the idea of even Spike's monolithic story, what a tale, what a huge testament to, the crime syndicate violence and all that stuff, and
the sort of
generational trauma and all
the
that.
corruption of the universe after the moon blew up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the syndicates are allowed to exist because of this fracturing of the world, right?
Yeah, this common tragedy.
Yeah, this show revolves around the Moongate explosion thing that is the source of all these sorrowful tales.
Yeah.
And it's great.
We blew up our home. We blew up our home trying to reach the stars. But it's, when you look in perspective and you, I guess what I mean to say, or finish my thought, is when I watch this episode now, I see Asteroid Blues. He's just another one of those stories that is deserving of empathy, no small story, but also terribly flawed. I see how you got there, but you're one choice away from moving on. You didn't have to die like that. You're getting in your own way, man. You're getting in your own way.
I like that. I like thinking of, even though we've been following Spike, thinking of him as another one of these people who's trying to make his way in the universe, who couldn't get out of his own way.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting. And
I think it's my favorite read of Bebop at this point.
That's
It's the one I'm walking away with.
And I like that. I still have a romantic place for the tragic death of a hero. It still works for me emotionally. So I don't need to leave the original text behind yet. One day I probably will, when I've seen it enough times.
Yeah. He really didn't have to go like that. That bird.
No, he didn't.
That bird didn't have to explode.
No, then we could have had him forever with his weird tendrils and everything. He was a great bird.
I found out before off mic, they didn't name him. Vicious didn't once go Ronald the bird or anything like that. He's listed on the Wikipedias. He's listed as Vicious's bird. That seems like they did that bird dirty, dude.
What if he named the bird Julia?
You're my Julia.
You're my Julia. You're the only one that can save me.
But you betrayed me because you love Spike.
You blew up in a fire.
And it's just like Spike arrives and he's like, "Did you fuck that bird?" He's like, "I fucked the bird."
I think Vicious is the moment that anime intersects most with this show.
Oh yeah, he's a Sephiroth through and through.
Yes, he is.
He's
okay, let me ask
you
some odds and ends. Okay.
Yes.
Was Faye in love with Spike?
No.
And that's you're sticking to it.
I'm sticking to it. I don't know what the fucking anime police want, but I don't think it's necessary, and there's no indication that they weren't anything other than friends.
There's no no. Their relationship never progressed past friendship. I agree with that. Mm-hmm. But does she have feelings for Spike that are beyond friendship?
Romantic, specifically.
I think the answer to that is yes, and I think that the episode shows us that. The way she reacts to him leaving is not just about, hey, I need you for stability. It's about, I can't lose you now.
Maybe it's because I'm broken and I don't like stories that bring in romance for what I think is no reason, but it all still works plenty to me.
It's fine without it. Yeah, it's okay without it.
And it kind of feels like I just didn't see that. I mean, it's true, this episode in particular, she is pleading with him, which means that they've leveled up a little bit in the friendship for sure. But I also do think that they're all selfish, and yes, she's
still selfish,
feeling more
no doubt.
empathetic than ever. She is seeing herself in a new light, and therefore she's seeing everyone in a new light, because that's how empathy works. But I think she's truly, a part of her is saying what she's saying to Spike in that scene, and the reasons she does a point break is because she needs to believe that there's a way out. She needs to believe that, yes, I have confronted my demons, but I don't feel like I've gotten past them.
Yeah.
And if Spike can't get past him, and I have respect for Spike, if people can't get past it, what does that mean for me? So that is a little bit of a selfish thought, not a bad thought. I think every one of us should think like that. It's just a matter of, I think that's why she's so emotionally charged in that moment, not out of a romantic feeling.
I'm in the por qué no los dos camp.
I know both, yeah.
Well, I just don't think it's explicable from, no, I need you to stay so I can have a home. Though that is the text of the scene for sure. She does say that, and that's definitely true.
Yeah.
I think that the show has been dropping little breadcrumbs about Faye's feelings for Spike all throughout, which I think we've highlighted from time to time. Certainly Ballad of Fallen Angels, when she's directly compared with Julia, and the fact that she has a ride-along with Julia, and the fact that she also points a gun at Spike, just like Julia. Like, there's the parallelisms are all there.
That is true. That is true. The show does that.
She also has the same color scheme as Julia, and so on we go. I don't think that they could have ever worked out. I think that's what Spike's speech is really about. Like you don't want me, I'm stuck in the past, right? You should go into the future, and he's right about that. And I think that's actually a caring act from him.
Do what I say, not what as I do.
Well, I think it's a way of caring for her that he tells her the truth.
But he won't
I just
listen
wanted
to his own advice.
This anime, despite how austere it often is emotionally, does still believe at its heart that love is the most important thing. Like, they all chase it.
Love is a healing force. Yeah.
Yeah, they still believe that.
True.
Everyone but Vicious, unless you think the bird theory is true, is in search of it. What happens to Jet and Faye?
I don't know.
After this, like, if you had to do a spin-off show, the Joey of Cowboy Bebop, what happens in Joey?
Well, there's two things in this Joey that we need to consider. One is where we leave them. So, like, how their brain is now thinking.
Yeah.
And there's also the fact that we don't see they're going to experience the death of Spike.
Right.
They're going to have that, and that's going to change them.
Big time.
Because he's very close to them. So I do think that there's a mystery box a little bit in that, like, what does that little spice add to the stew? But where they're going, I think Jet is not ready to move on, but he desperately needs people.
Yes.
And he knows he needs people. He's gone through that arc. He's learned that from things like Boogie Woogie Feng Shui. He's learned that from his own dealings with, his ex. So I think he'll find a new family. He'll find a family. I don't know if it's bounty hunting or what, but he's going to find a family.
He could finally be good at bounty hunting without Spike, I think. You know what I mean? Like, he could actually make some money, but in the small time crooks, not.
Whereas I think Faye is the biggest question mark.
Yeah,
because I think no idea. Faye she's so on deck, so ready to make her own story. And I know that Spike is going to shake the shit out of her, because it clearly does in that scene. And to know that you're going off to die, and you fucking died. And I wasn't there because why? Like, it's not my fault that you made these choices and stuff like that. That's going to shake her and make her probably, knowing her, it might make her retreat a little bit back into herself. But I can't psychologically.
I got to tell you,
there
is no spin-off thing I would be more amped for than if the creator of this series decided, I'm making a series about Faye.
Faye
let's
Valentine.
Pick it up. Yep, let's pick it up.
I'm the bounty hunter.
Let's see what happens.
And I'm here to kick ass.
Well, and
Yeah.
just like, what is her story? Like, where does she go? That would be fucking awesome. I would totally watch that.
In a way, there's no story I would ever want of Bebop. I think it's perfectly.
Me too.
Yeah, but I know what you're saying. And
Like-
just in terms of like, fan casting kind of
Well,
thing.
it's not
stunt
even.
casting.
So, have you ever read The Sandman, the
Yeah.
graphic novels? So, Sandman's incredible and a complete work and excellent in a similar way that Cowboy Bebop is excellent. Just feels finished, has so many great tie-togethers, has a great style. But it did spawn an interesting spin-off that has a life of its own and was also a cool work. It's not as good as Sandman, but that work is Lucifer, which is based on kind of one chapter of
Right.
the Sandman, and I think has its own identity, doesn't diminish the Sandman. I think Faye has there's enough gas in the tank narratively with Faye that if somebody wanted to make that had a great storytelling sense, I'd be open to it.
I'd be into it.
Yeah.
You know what I'd be into actually?
The Adventures
What
of
if
Edward.
if we just took Bebop
Yep.
and made it live action?
You love it. I knew the bit was coming. I saw it in your eyes. The star was dying in my eyes just as you started it.
Yeah.
I knew it.
You know me, man. And you're
Well, we're
gonna
done
carry
with it
that
now.
weight. We're done with that. Congratulations. This was it was a breeze.
It was great. Had a great time.
And as we talked about in episode 1, now we're gonna grade each other's on how we did.
No, good.
I think you got an A, man.
Oh.
I think you get an A.
I'm giving you an S.
Thank you.
Yeah. Top
I think
marks
I
for Ed.
deserve it. Yeah. I
Top
think I get
marks.
it. A plus or S. So
Yeah.
I win.
Yeah.
That's the important part.
And this is where I die.
No, this is it's so nice. The world is cruel enough
Yeah.
that to get to talk to your boy
Yeah.
about something you both prize
Truly love. Yeah.
and to give it flowers. We hope that you enjoyed that experience with us. We
Mhm.
hope we did it service and not disservice. But tell us how you feel. Put
We'll
it
listen.
on the Apple comment.
Give us a rating and review.
Throw
Yeah.
a comment on wherever you listen to this, because Small Beans is definitely gonna kick off some more shit. We know that we're gonna be back. We're probably gonna we're gonna choose a TV show, and
It
we're
won't
gonna
be
cover
anime.
it. It's not gonna be anime,
Not
even though
for a
I did.
while.
I'm trying to get him to watch Free Run, but he's got something.
I would
going.
consider Samurai Champloo
Mhm.
down the line
We've-
someday.
We've discussed this.
Yeah.
It would be a obvious choice after this.
I did
But I
watch
think we're
that.
going to walk away from anime and we're going to choose another TV show. So much akin to what Michael Swaim and Cody Johnson are doing on our channel. If you are in the $15 tier, you can listen to their watch through of Battlestar Galactica. We're going to do one that's cool and not as nerdy as Battlestar Galactica. Something Cowboy Bebop-esque, we hope.
We hope.
But that news will be in the future.
And we can't wait to give it to you.
What? Anything you want to say, fellow cowboy?
No, this was a delight for me. I love doing this show with you. And any of you who enjoyed it, I'm so glad. I hope you share our love for the show. And if you didn't enjoy it, try us out on the next one
See you somewhere.
sometime.